do you think there's ever a moment, or could there ever be a moment? We're in this really weird place right now where people are looking for something different from either parties. Like you said, we're not wed to either D or R. Could you ever foresee a future where there is a coalition of Black people in a select few states that could yield enough power to influence politics within both parties, but yet they remain outside of both parties? I've been thinking about that a lot. What are your thoughts on that?
I discussed this in the last section of the book. I don't think it's possible in the
Hmm.
GOP. As Michael Steele told me, the GOP is irredeemable. And I agree with him at this point. It's irredeemable. I don't think that there's any saving it. And
Hmm.
the elements that are in it now is just kind of obvious. But here's what I think. I'm not a big fan of the third party argument.
Hmm.
We have plenty of countries that have multiple parties, and they're a disaster. So
Hmm.
this idea, start a third party, it's going to fix everything. Brazil has multiple parties. Pakistan, if you have the citizens united, the money in politics, it's very difficult to do. But what I want us to see is what I want us to do. This goes just to us and voter turnout numbers. I want us to infiltrate and take over the Democratic Party and use our power the way the Tea Party took over the GOP, the way the MAGA Party has taken over the GOP. I want us to fully utilize our power in Mississippi, in Alabama, in Arkansas. You see it a bit in Georgia, in
Hmm.
Pennsylvania, Philadelphia. When I see voter turnout numbers in Mississippi at 25%,
Hmm.
that's heartbreaking to me. When I see Gary Chambers in Louisiana begging on TikTok, please vote, please vote,
I
please
tweeted
vote.
about him when he was running. I really liked him, and we are
He
politically
was
different, but I really liked him.
amazing. And the reason why I say this, Shermichael, and I always bring this stat up, to your point, in 1868, 1868, during Reconstruction, 80% of black men, not black women, sadly, but women couldn't vote, were registered to vote.
Yeah.
80%. And they went to the polls with massive voter suppression that you couldn't imagine. And they managed to elect black folks all throughout the South, from sheriff to the House of Representatives to the state house, the state Senate, really managed to take over. And if we could just follow the model from the original black Republicans, we could really fully use our power. We had less power then and used our power more.
Clay, do
We
you
have
think
more
there's a
power now and use our power less.
do you think it's because two questions to that point, or observations? Do you think it's because, one, there's a lack of urgency? And then two, my next question, I'd love to know your thoughts on that. Under that dynamic, let's say we start to move in that direction as a group of people, and I'm all about power. I think it's critically important. I've had conversations over the phone about this. Is
Yeah.
there a place for someone like me, who's a Black conservative, to say, okay, hey, there are people with Shermichael's dispositions, but he is all about the acclamation and success and climax of Black progress? There's a place
Yeah.
for that type of a conservative disposition. Would that be allotted under the scenario you just mentioned?
Listen, I don't think being a conservative means you're a Republican. You know what I'm saying? My father is deeply conservative.
Mm-hmm.
He's deeply conservative, but he wouldn't vote Republican. Um, Maybe a bad example. Joe Manchin is conservative.
That's
He's not a
true.
Republican. You know what I'm saying? So, if you are the current Republican Party, sure, Michael, I don't see them conservative at all.
Yeah, no, it's not.
Big government.
You and I've talked about this. I've talked about this on TV. That
Their
this is a
spending is
yeah, it's
ludicrous,
very
right?
different. Yeah.
So and this is where you and I have to, folks like you and I, for us to be on the same page. I mean, there's some people you can't unite with, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's impossible. I can't unite with Diamond and Silk. I know one of them passed away, rest in power, but I
Yeah.
couldn't unite with them. I can't unite with Herschel Walker. But Clay and Shermichael, they can. So I think there is a space for you. I am fine with policy conversations about
Mm-hmm.
being fiscally conservative. I'm all about it. I'm fine with actual policy conversations. Where is the role of government? I'm all about it.
Mm-hmm.
We can have a heated debate about school choice. Now, I don't want to see public education gutted. That's not what I
Yeah,
want to
you and
see.
I've talked about that over the phone.
Yeah, and partly because the original Black Republicans, They crafted public education. So yes, we can have a robust policy conversation,
Mm-hmm.
and I think there is space for black folks who are more conservative to vote Democrat and take over the party. I mean, there are so many black conservative folks in Mississippi, in
That's true.
Louisiana.
Yeah.
Like, yes, let's strategize and use where we have the
But
power.
Clay, how do we do
Governor
that
Tate
though,
Reeves.
Clay, when we're no longer I think I agree with you, but I think from a practical perspective, the viability of that scenario no longer exists with us not having the numbers. And I mean, we've now, and you know my thoughts on this, and I'm not going to get into all of them because I had a long conversation with this a couple months ago. But you have other groups now,
Yeah,
and some of their interests may
we
not be
have
our
the numbers
interests,
locally,
Clay.
but we have the numbers locally. There is
Okay, I see what you're saying. Okay,
no reason why Mississippi and Louisiana have the Republican trifecta.
Alabama.
Alabama,
Mhm.
the state legislature. You know, I mean, Governor Tate Reeves in April, he now has April being Confederate Heritage Month. I need us to all get on the same page of what is insidious. But I will add this, then we have to go to a break, and I want to talk South Carolina with you. Here's the conundrum. I brought up 1868. My fear is that for us to have the urgency, we might have to go to an era like 1868. The last time we had high youth voter engagement was during Vietnam. Why? Because young folks were being drafted. Young folks got so involved, black and white, because they were being forced to go to Vietnam to die. They lowered the voting age from 21 to 18. Their motto was, if I can go to Vietnam, I should be able to go to the voting booth. So much of this is also a cultural conversation, and that's why I wrote the book. I am in the final chapter. I am ringing the alarm. I am yelling from the rooftops. I am saying all are welcomed, that we have to capitalize on our power. Because I truly believe the GOP at this point, with Project 2025, they want to give all power to the executive branch. There is a serious erasure coming down with our history, with our rights in a doctor's office, with our rights in our bedroom, with our rights in school. It's very scary to me, but I hope people get the urgency of it. I hope they see the urgency of now. And I want you and I to be on the same page. And if we can have a heated debate about where money is going, you know, I believe in social services. I think we should cut that defense budget. You know what I'm saying? I cut it. It's loaded. Like you may say, nah, we need more defense. I'm like, I don't believe. I mean, I was born and raised on welfare, and my mother was not lazy and shiftless, you know. And I also believe in fighting for poor folks. I believe in a higher minimum wage. You know, we can have those discussions, but the GOP at this point, they can't even pass a proper border bill. They make April Confederate Heritage Month. They elevate several times indicted, you know, a disgrace. So, yeah, man, I want us to feel the urgency of the moment.
Yeah, I don't think it's there, Clay. I don't think that urgency is there. I think you're 100% right. In an ideal world, I would love to see Black people of different parts of the country, of different beliefs, sort of coming together, saying, hey, it is in our group interest to be more surgical and strategic in how we navigate politics. Again, particularly because we were once, you know, the largest minority group in the country. It really mattered. My concern, politically speaking, is that as that shifts, understanding the way political parties work, they will cater to people with the greatest influence. And that really, you know, I've talked about this, Clay, and I know you disagree with some of my argument on this perspective, particularly as it pertains to certain individuals from South America and other places, because some of them do have ethnic Black heritage in them because of slavery, et cetera. And we've talked about that. But there's a lot who do not. And that is something that does worry me electorally, Clay. And I do not know how we get over that hump.
But here's what I'll push back on.
Okay.
What they've always catered to is whiteness. You might have some more Latin folks here, but at the end of the day, they're catering to white Latin folks. They ain't catering to, I mean, to Afro-Latinos.
You're right. You're
So,
right.
so when we're looking at that lens, there's a lens of race and a
Hmm.
lens of nationality.
Nationality, right.
Talk
Yeah.
about we talk about they ain't that mad at Cubans if they're white Cubans. They're mad at black Guatemalans that come here or people who are more indigenous. Like
Hmm.
under the racial lens, Marco Rubio is a white Latin,
Hmm.
right? So if they can and race operates differently once you leave this country, I understand that. But if they attach themselves to whiteness, they are not a threat. Now, if the majority of black folks who come to this country,
Hmm.
they might have conservative values, but the majority of them, according to the numbers, black Caribbeans, black Africans who end up voting, they do vote Democrat.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
Don't
true.
vote for the GOP. But when
Hmm.
we're talking about Latin, that's why I almost don't even like the term. I'm not Latino. The term Hispanic or Latino because freaking Nicaraguans and Dominicans are culturally so different.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're
And the Afro, those who have the Afro descent, their
absolutely.
experience is very similar to the black experience in the United States. So that's a good point, Clay, of those individuals in the diaspora, that being the African diaspora, who are in the United States, joining with native blacks, right? To sort
Yeah.
of build this interesting political coalition. That's an interesting idea, man. I haven't thought about that.
And that's the thing. That's why I love Du Bois. Du Bois, the founder of Pan Africanism.
Hmm.
Du Bois saw the importance of black Americans. They weren't using that term back then, and black folks from from Jamaica, from West Africa,
Yeah.
uniting together. Karen Hunter says the global majority. Now Du Bois and Marcus Garvey were feuding. They were going at it. They were dragging each other to hell. So
Yeah.
in many ways, we're making the same well, not you and I, but other folks are making the same I don't a black person from Haiti is not a threat to me.
Hmm.
That isn't a threat to me at all.
Hmm.
I see no threat at all. I don't believe in open borders, but we don't have open borders. We have an effed up immigration system. No one talks about the 200,000 quote unquote illegal Irish immigrants in New York City.
Hmm.
Why? Because they have the cloak of whiteness.
That's a good point.